Part 3, we will finish 1.1. Okay, so to find the order of reactions, but you are not given the rate law. Okay, so kalau you are given the rate law, you will get a rate, K, and then A, let's say it is X, and then B, you know what is Y. Okay, so you know X is equals to 1 ke, Y is equals to 2 ke. Okay, so from there, you already know the order of reaction. But if you are not given the rate law, then you will have to use any of these three methods. So initial rate method, linear graph method, and half-life method. Okay, so depending on the question, you will need to know which method to use. Okay, so the first method is initial rate method. Okay, in initial rate method, you will first use the concentrations of reactants measurement to find the initial rate. So sometimes our initial rate dia dah bagi sekali. Okay, and then from there you are going to compare your rate law for, let's say, experiment 1 with experiment 2. So you are going to divide them so that we can find our order of reaction for specific reactant too. Okay, and then you're going to use these values, your order of reactions X and Y, to calculate the rate constant. So this one you just insert your order of reaction masuk dalam rate law. Okay, rate law of any of the experiment that was given. Okay, just choose. Right, so let's see how can we do example 15. Okay, note that you cannot obtain order of reaction from chemical equation. Use one of the three methods that I just mentioned just now. Okay, so in this question, they want you to determine the rate law and calculate the rate constant for the following reaction. Okay, from the following data. So this is your chemical equation, but then you cannot find the order of reaction from here, so you need to use this. Okay, so when you are given the initial rate and concentration, okay, of different experiments, okay, then you will use initial rate method. Alright, okay, so the first step is you want to choose which concentration of reactant you want to find its order first. So let's say I want to find the order for F2, alright? So the order, let's say, is X. Okay, so I want to find X, and this one will be Y. So I am going to choose, okay, concentration, okay, from experiments for F2, okay, for F2 from 1 to 3 experiments ni, which one are different, and for ClO2, which one is the same. Okay, why do I want to pick this one the same? Supaya that this one will cancel out with this, and then I can find the order for F2. Okay, so to find the order of reaction, let's say X with respect to F2, I will pick experiment 1 and 3. Okay, this one is to find for F2. Okay, next, when I want to find the order of reaction for ClO2, okay, or Y, I will pick F2 punya concentration yang sama and ClO2 punya concentration yang berbeza. So here berbeza dua ni. Okay, and this one is the same, so that means I will pick these two to compare. Okay, ni untuk cari the order for ClO2. Okay, ni Y to find Y. This one is to find X. Okay, alright. So now that we have chosen our experiments, okay, we are going to start with finding X lah dulu. Okay, tadi je saya cakap. So first, write your rate law. Okay, generally, you still don't know what is X and Y. Okay, and then you are going to find the order in F2 with ClO2 punya concentration being constant. So tadi saya pilih experiment 3 and 1. So that means I'm going to compare those 3 experiments. 3 pula. Those 2 experiments. Experiment 3 over experiment 1. Okay. So write down the rate law for experiment 3 over experiment 1. So you are going to write it this way. Okay. So from there you can see awak masukkan awak punya rate, initial rate of experiment 3 and experiment 1 here. Alright. And then your rate constant, obviously you still don't know. So this one will cancel out with each other. And then this one tadi dia berbeza kan. So this one and this one, you will not cancel it out, but you will calculate it. For ClO2 punya concentration tadi constant sama. That means this will cancel out with this one. Okay. So this is what we want. Okay. When we choose our 2 experiments just now, which one to compare. Okay. So from there, okay, you count this one, you calculate what's the value. Okay. And then you calculate this one. Alright. And then, okay, kalau kira you will get 2.0 kan. Okay. And then you will put bracket to the power of x. Alright. Okay. So from there, you should get about the same values. Okay. And then you can conclude that x is equal to 1. So you get the order of reaction with respect to F2. So F2 is first order. Okay. Next, you do the same for ClO2 with F2 punya concentration being constant. So you're going to compare experiments 2 with experiment 1. Alright. So from there, you do the same thing. You cancel out K. And then you cancel out the constant concentration for F2. Okay, right here. Constant. So cancel je. And then you calculate this and this. And then you equate them together. And you can get your order of reaction for ClO2. So ClO2 is also first order. Okay. So from there, right, you can get your rate law atau rate equation. Just masukkan je lah. Ini adalah satu, ini adalah satu. So you will write it this way lah for your rate law. Okay. Next, to find the rate constant K. Okay, you are going to choose any experiment data and just insert, okay, the value, just plug in the values for initial rate, your concentration. Okay, so let's say ini saya pilih yang mana ni, 0.1 and 0.1. I choose experiment 1. Okay, and then this is my initial rate. This is the concentration for F2 and ClO2. So what I did was masukkan initial rate. Okay, so this is what we want to find. This is the concentration of F2 to the power of 1. So ini actually the to the power of 1. And this one is also to the power of 1. The concentration of ClO2. Okay, and then you can find your rate constant. Okay. How about your unit of rate constant? How do you know? It will follow the overall order of reaction. So tadi awak punya X is equals to 1 and Y is equals to 1 kan? So your overall order of reaction will be 1 plus 1 lah. So you get second order. So second order, you must know what is the unit lah for the rate constant. It is per molar per second. Okay? Alright, so this one you can try doing it yourself. The next method, okay, second method is linear graph method. So linear maksudnya straight line. So basically you are just gonna use your integrated rate law. Okay, from there you are going to plot your graph. So maksudnya ni awak kena equate to y equals to mx plus c if any. Okay, or y equals to mx. Okay, and then awak plot awak punya graph. Okay, you will be given the concentration of your reactant and time. So depending on your order of reaction, whether awak ada ln ke, ln A naught ke, atau 1 over A naught ke, okay, any, okay, when you plot, okay, ini trial and error for each of the integrated rate law. When you find a linear graph, then that will be the reaction order. Okay. So, contohnya macam mana? Awak kena tengok kat sini. Okay. You will look at your integrated rate law. So, for zero order, okay, you use this. So, let's say if you use this graph, y equals to c plus mx, okay, then you get a straight line graph. That means the order is 0. If you plot this and you get a curve, that means the order is not 0. Okay? If you plot this, let's say you get a straight line graph, then the order will be first order. Okay, overall order. If you plot this and you get not a straight line graph, then it will not be first order. Get what I mean? Alright? Okay. So, this is what I meant lah tadi. Okay. Awak plot ln concentration of reactant versus time. Okay. Let's say you get a linear graph, then it is first order. Okay. If you plot this and you get linear graph, then it is second order. So, if you plot concentration of reactant versus time and you get linear graph, then it is zero order. So basically this is trial and error. So you have to plot each graph, okay, for 0, second and first order. Okay. So in your exam questions, they will give you the time and concentration of your reactant. Okay. So you have to trial and error lah untuk first zero order. And then your first order, then you need to do ln concentration of your reactant. Okay. And then for second order, 1 over the concentration of your reactant. So ini trial and error. So meaning, okay, from this question here, okay, let's say awak dah plot each of the graphs. Alright. And you find that graph B, you get a straight line graph. So, linear graph method maksudnya siapa straight line tu, dia lah ordernya. Okay. So, you can conclude that the reaction is first order in N2O5 because you produce a linear graph when you plot ln concentration of N2O5 against time ni. Okay. Alright. So, ini you can do it by yourself. And finally, we have the last method, which is HalfLife Method. Okay. So for HalfLife Method, you need to remember the half-life formula. Okay. So you will be given the time and concentration of reactant, just like the previous method. Okay. So from the following data, determine the order of reaction, half-life, and rate constant. So this one you must do it step by step. First by plotting concentration of reactant versus time. Okay. Ini macam saya cerita pasal half-life tadi. And then you determine the first half-life and second half-life. Okay. And then from the formula, from the first half-life and second half-life, you can know whether it is constant. Kalau constant maksudnya first half-life dia equals to second half-life. That means that your order of reaction is first order. Okay. Kalau half-life, first half-life to second half-life dia increase, then tu order apa? Kalau first half-life to second half-life dia decrease, then itu order apa? Okay. You need to know that. Alright. And then finally, once you know the order of reaction, you can determine the rate constant K. Alright. So this is an example, okay, of graph of C2H5 in concentration against time. Okay. So this is the initial concentration of C2H5, okay, and then they half it, okay, from 1 to 0.5. So this is the first half-life right here, okay, and then the second half-life is this. So as you can see, it is 70 and 140. That means that first half-life is 70 minutes, second half-life also 70 minutes. So that means the first half-life and second half-life is equal, so it is constant. So from your knowledge that you gained just now, you know that this is a first order reaction, okay? Alright? Okay, so to know the rate constant, you just insert lah your half-life, okay, to find your K. Alright? So your units must be correct, so make sure you write them in the correct units lah. Okay? Okay. Finally, we are almost done. So this is basically the summary for subtopic 1.1. So this is compiled, okay, for the graphs, for rate law, integrated rate law, half-life, unit of rate constant, okay, yang awak wajib tahu. But you also need to know how to find the unit of rate constant. Let's say kalau awak punya overall order is 6, okay, contohnya macam tu. Dan graphs, alright, so that you are familiar with this lah, okay. So do these examples. We will discuss it during our tutorial, our GM. And finally, make sure to make overview notes for this subtopic and attempt tutorial questions 1 to 8 if I'm not mistaken. So everything will be on GC, and so see you in our meets later. Thank you everyone.